English for a YouTube video titled Meet the Most Dangerous Women in America's Prisons, Trevor McDonald. Behind bars, a world of brutality and danger lurks. The women in these prisons are some of the most notorious and fearsome criminals in the United States. They have committed crimes that shock even the hardest of criminals, and their stories are chilling. Today, we delve into the lives of the most dangerous women in America's prisons. From cold-blooded murderers to violent gang leaders, these women have a reputation that precedes them. But what drives them to commit such heinous acts? What lies beneath the surface of these hardened criminals? Join me as we uncover the untold stories of these formidable women and the dark reality of life behind bars. These women are not just victims of their circumstances, they are survivors. But survival in prison comes with a price, and for some, it means becoming the very thing they feared most. Trevor McDonald. Some of them have turned their prisons into their own domain, exerting influence and fear over both staff and inmates. Others are infamous for their shocking acts of violence, calculated and ruthless. Woman inmate, interviewee. I had to do what I had to do to survive. You either take control or you get taken. Cut to scenes showing daily prison life, tension building. But what does it take for a woman to become one of the most dangerous criminals in America? Is it the result of a tragic past, or is there something more sinister at play? Trevor McDonald. These women's stories challenge the perception of the female offender. Their brutal actions may defy explanation, but their complex lives reveal a darker side of America's justice system. Trevor McDonald. Today, we meet these dangerous women and explore their dangerous worlds, uncovering the truths that lie within America's prisons. Sure, let's continue with the next section of the script for the YouTube video. Here's an extension of the narrative. Trevor McDonald. As we venture deeper into the lives of these women, we discover that their crimes are not just an act of violence, they are often the culmination of years of hardship, trauma, and systemic neglect. Trevor McDonald. Many of these women come from backgrounds marred by abuse, poverty, and abandonment. Yet, despite these hardships, they have chosen to rise above and become feared figures behind bars. Their stories often blur the lines between victim and villain. Psychologically speaking, these women's actions can often be traced back to a lifetime of trauma. Many of them have suffered severe abuse, and in some cases, it's a matter of survival. The environment they find themselves in, where power and control are so vital, shapes the way they interact with the world around them. Trevor McDonald. Take Maria, for example. Convicted of multiple murders, her cold demeanor hides a past of relentless abuse. Maria's transformation into one of the most feared women in prison didn't happen overnight. It was the result of years of trauma and a broken system that failed her at every turn. People don't understand what it's like, being in a place where the only thing that matters is how strong you are. You can't show weakness, because in here, that's when you're a target. Trevor McDonald. Not all of these women fit the typical image of a criminal mastermind. Some are simply products of their environment, caught in a cycle they couldn't escape. But there are others who have chosen to embrace their power, manipulating those around them to gain dominance in the harsh world of prison. Former guard. They don't just survive, they thrive in that environment. They use fear as their weapon. They've learned how to play the system, how to make everyone around them bend to their will. And once you've crossed that line, there's no going back. Trevor McDonald. For these women, prison is not just a place of punishment, it's a battlefield, and they've mastered the art of survival. Sure, here's the next part of the script to keep building on the story. Trevor McDonald. As night falls in the prison, the quiet only deepens the tension. Inmates retreat to their cells, but for some, the danger is never far away. These women's actions inside the prison walls are not limited to physical violence. They engage in psychological warfare, manipulation, and strategy, tools of survival in an unforgiving world. Trevor McDonald. Gangs are a dominant force inside many prisons, and these women often rise to leadership roles, commanding fear and respect in equal measure. It's not just about control of the prison's drug trade or physical confrontations, it's about controlling minds, shaping alliances, and maintaining an iron grip on the power that comes with influence. Prison gang expert. In a place like this, loyalty is everything. You protect your own, but you also make sure others know you're not someone to mess with. The women who run these gangs are often more calculated than their male counterparts. They understand the importance of staying one step ahead. Trevor McDonald. Take the case of Diana. Known as the Queen of Cell Block C, she built an empire within these prison walls, using intimidation, manipulation, and, when necessary, violence. Her reputation is legendary, and her power, absolute. Diana, inmate. It wasn't always like this, but I've learned the rules. You take what's yours and you keep it. In here, there's no room for kindness. If you show weakness, they'll use it against you. Trevor McDonald. Yet, even with all their power, these women are not immune to the struggles of prison life. The harsh conditions, the overcrowding, and the limited resources all play a part in shaping who they are. Some use their influence to protect their fellow inmates, while others further their own agendas, creating a hierarchy where the strongest rise to the top. Trevor McDonald. In a world defined by violence, fear, and control, there's little room for redemption. These women have made choices, sometimes unforgivable ones, but at what cost? And is it possible for them to ever leave behind the dangerous lives they've built for themselves? Trevor McDonald. Some, however, seek change. With the right help, the right support, they begin to face the trauma that led them here. Can the system of incarceration offer redemption, or is it simply too broken to allow for true transformation? Trevor McDonald. The story of the most dangerous women in America's prisons is a story of power, survival, and tragedy. But it's also a story about the broken systems that perpetuate violence, leaving behind a legacy of pain, fear, and, in some cases, hope. Trevor McDonald. Thank you for joining us as we uncover the lives of these incredible women. Their stories are not just about crime, they are about the complex forces that shape who we become. Trevor McDonald. As we leave behind the world of America's most dangerous women in prison, we are left to reflect on the reality of life behind bars. These women, once viewed as mere criminals, are survivors of a system that often fails to address the deeper causes of their actions. Trevor McDonald. For many, prison is not the end of their story. It is, in fact, just another chapter. The cycle of violence, trauma, and incarceration continues, and for some, the prospect of reintegration into society seems like a distant dream. But for others, there is a glimmer of hope, a chance to rebuild their lives and atone for their past. Prison counselor. Rehabilitation is possible. It's not easy and it doesn't happen overnight, but it is possible. We need to create more opportunities for these women to heal, not just from their crimes, but from the wounds that led them to commit those crimes in the first place. Trevor McDonald. Some inmates, like Emma, have begun to explore the deep scars of their past. Through therapy, education, and self-reflection, they've started to understand the choices they've made. Emma, once known for her violent outbursts, now spends her days teaching other inmates how to read and write. Emma, inmate. I used to think the only way to get by was to fight. But over time, I realized there's another way. Maybe it's too late for me, but I can help others not make the same mistakes I did. Trevor McDonald. Education, therapy, and support networks offer some of these women the opportunity to change. They may have been labeled as dangerous, but within the walls of this prison, many are learning that the path to redemption is long, and the first step is understanding the person they were before they committed their crimes. Trevor McDonald. The story of the most dangerous women in America's prisons is not one-dimensional. It is filled with pain, regret, and resilience. But it is also a story that challenges us to rethink how we view crime, punishment, and the possibility of change. Trevor McDonald. As these women continue their sentences, the questions remain. Can the justice system truly rehabilitate those who have fallen into its darkest corners? Or does it simply perpetuate the cycle of violence? Only time will tell. Trevor McDonald. Though the gates of these prisons may close behind them, for many of the women inside, the battle for their future has only just begun. The question remains, how do we as a society choose to handle those who have fallen through the cracks of the system? Are they beyond redemption, or is there still a chance for change? Trevor McDonald. The most dangerous women in America's prisons are not just criminals. They are also products of a broken system. A system that has failed to address the root causes of crime. A system that, instead of healing, often harms even further. Trevor McDonald. Reform is necessary, but change will require more than just empty promises. It requires a fundamental shift in how we view punishment, justice, and this has been Meet the Most Dangerous Women in America's Prisons. For more in-depth